Hesitation is defeat. It's a phrase repeated by Ishin the Sword Saint after you fall yet again to his onslaught of attacks. But it's more than just a warning before your next attempt. In Sekiro, it puts into words what this game's been trying to teach you from the start, the foundation of the entire experience. At first, it sounds almost too simple. Don't hesitate or you'll die. But the more time you spend with the game, the more you realize that it isn't just about swordplay. It's about decisiveness, action, and learning to trust your instincts. When Ishin first spoke those words, they hit me harder than any attack he had thrown at me. I realized I wasn't failing because the fight was impossible. I was failing because of my hesitation. I was second-guessing every move and playing scared instead of playing with confidence. Sekiro is a game that demands you step forward, that you meet every strike head-on. The phrase, hesitation is defeat, evolves from just being advice for your next attempt and becomes its own kind of philosophy. That's what I want to explore in this video, how Sekiro teaches us through both gameplay and story that hesitation leads to loss, and how confidence in your actions is the only path forward, both in game and in life. This also marks the first video in a series I plan on making, where I look at the different lessons that games can teach us, and I can't think of a better place to start than with Sekiro. The combat in this game demands commitment. Even if it's not explicitly told to you until the end, Sekiro teaches you that hesitation is your greatest enemy as soon as you start to use your blade. Unlike other action games, where you have the luxury to back away and carefully look for an opening, Sekiro forces you into the fire. The posture system is the clearest example. The only way to truly defeat enemies is to break their posture, and that requires relentless aggression. Every moment of pressure you apply matters. If you stop, their posture recovers. If you hesitate, the fight resets. And this changes how you play. You can't sit back and wait. You can't hide behind a shield or roll until you're out of danger. These methods of playing it safe are actively punished. The longer you retreat, the more the game reminds you that you're losing ground. This heavily contrasts with Dark Souls or Elden Ring. In those games, defense is a legitimate strategy. You can slowly wear down each boss by chipping away at their health. These games reward cautious playstyles. But Sekiro flips this on its head. Here, the safest place to be is right in front of your enemy, blade to blade, completely committed. In this game, to be aggressive is to survive. To hesitate is to give the enemy room to breathe, and in Sekiro, that means giving them the chance to kill you. In other words, Sekiro's combat is a philosophy, a lesson, one that insists that the only way forward is through decisive actions. This philosophy comes to life most clearly in Sekiro's boss encounters. Every major fight feels like an exam that was created to test whether you've truly learned to lose that hesitation and trust in your abilities. Take Genichiro Ashina. For many players, he is the first real wall. He not only tests your ability to react and learn, but also to commit. If you panic and mash buttons without clear intent, you'll be cut down instantly. But the more you play, the more you realize he's not unbeatable. He acts as a teacher who will show you how the rest of the game will treat you. His attacks have a rhythm, and when you trust yourself enough to meet him blow for blow, everything clicks. You stop hesitating, and the fight becomes a beautiful dance. Then there's the Guardian Ape. On the surface, he seems chaotic, even unfair at times. His movements are wild, his roar builds up terror, and every attack seems to come out of nowhere. All of these qualities make you want to hang back and play it safe, but the more you hesitate, the more you die. The ape forces you to accept chaos, to stand firm in the face of overwhelming ferocity. The lesson here is simple. Hesitation doesn't protect you, it actively hurts you. And finally, Ishin the Sword Saint. He's the culmination of everything Sekiro has been trying to teach you. Ishin is both relentless and decisive in his actions and demands the same from you. He changes rhythm constantly, punishes any moment of doubt, and forces you to commit to every single action. He embodies decisiveness not only as a fighter but as a person. Both his dialogue and his philosophy tie back to one core idea. Hesitation is defeat. It's brilliant how these encounters build on one another. They are each carefully designed lessons. Genichiro teaches you rhythm, the Guardian Ape teaches you resolve, and Ishin tests your ability to trust everything you've learned. But this lesson on hesitation doesn't stop at combat. The story and its characters embody this idea of decisiveness just as strongly. Wolf, the protagonist, is defined by his unwavering loyalty. His life revolves around one thing, protecting his master Kuro, and his actions are decisive. He doesn't hesitate to throw himself into danger, to risk everything, because hesitation would mean failing his duty. Wolf's resolve mirrors the philosophy of the game, showing what it means to be unwavering. Like I said earlier, Ishin is the origin of the lesson, hesitation is defeat, and Ishin lives by it. Even in the twilight of his life, when Ashina is crumbling around him, he acts with clarity. He knows exactly what must be done, and he does it. His decisiveness isn't solely about combat, it's about living with conviction, even when the end is near. Kuro, the young master, also reflects this ideology in his own way. His choices are often painful. Deciding whether to break the cycle of immortality or not is no small endeavor, but he makes a choice. He doesn't cling to indecision, even though the weight of his actions carries sacrifice. Through Kuro, Sekiro shows us that decisiveness isn't always clean or easy. Sometimes it's heartbreaking, but to stand still, to refuse to act, is the true defeat. So, this lesson teaches us to push forward, to have confidence in our strikes against the final boss. But when we step away from the controller, what does the phrase, hesitation is defeat, really mean? It's easy to leave that phrase in the fictional world of duels and bosses, but if you sit with it for a moment, it feels much bigger. It's a philosophy about how to live. In real life, hesitation shows up in ways that are a lot quieter than death on the battlefield, but they're often just as costly. Think about the opportunities we miss because we waited too long, the job we didn't apply for, the trip we never booked, the message we left unsent until the chance had passed. Every one of those moments had a window, and the window closed while we stood still. Or think about the way fear drives hesitation. Fear usually whispers to you quietly, what if I fail? What if I embarrass myself? What if I'm not ready? And when we let that whisper dictate our choices, we avoid growth. We let our lives be defined not by the things we tried, but by the things we never dared to attempt. And the hardest part of it all is regret, the memory of never trying. Thinking back on an apology you never gave or the dream you waited too long to chase. Those are the kinds of wounds that don't heal easily because they come from indecisiveness. Sekiro makes this truth brutally clear. Hesitation isn't safety, it's death. And while life doesn't often punish hesitation with a game over screen, it does punish it with something subtler. Lost time, lost chances, and lost opportunities. And once gone, they often don't come back. But here's where the lesson gets more nuanced, because the game isn't telling you not to think. If anything, Sekiro demands thought, discipline, and preparation. You can't rush blindly into battle and expect to succeed. What it teaches instead is that thought has to lead somewhere. Preparation has to be followed by commitment. Once you've trained, once you've practiced, once you've studied the rhythm of the fight, that's when hesitation becomes the enemy, because hesitation undermines the very work you've put in. It's like a musician who's practiced for months and then freezes the moment they step on stage, or a runner who trains every day but second guesses themselves at the starting line. The performance is not the time to keep reevaluating, it's the time to trust the preparation. That's the line Sekiro draws. Be thoughtful, but don't let it paralyze you. Discipline builds readiness, and being ready only matters if you act on it. And that's the beauty of Sekiro when you zoom out. The entire game, from combat to story, is ultimately about clarity and discipline. Sekiro's story strips things down to a single burning question. When the time comes, will you trust yourself and commit? And discipline is the tool that makes that commitment possible. You practice your parries, you master your timing, and you repeat until these decisive actions feel natural. The game doesn't ask you to be fearless, it asks you to move forward even when you're afraid, to carry that fear but act in spite of it. And in that sense, its philosophy is about courage shaped by preparation. When you think about it that way, the phrase hesitation is defeat becomes so much more than a cool line from one of the toughest bosses. It's a way of living. It reminds us that the only path to growth, to clarity, to fulfillment is action, even imperfect action, because moving forward, even if we stumble, is always better than standing still. Sekiro shows us that games can do more than entertain. They can sharpen us. They can hold up a mirror and ask you, where in your life are you hesitating? What fear is whispering in your ear, keeping you from growing? Maybe it's time to trust your preparation. Maybe it's time to take the step you've been delaying, because hesitation is defeat, not only in Sekiro, but in the lives we're all trying to live. That brings me to the end of the video. Like I said at the beginning, this video serves as the first in a series where I look at the lessons that games can teach us. If you found this topic interesting, then I'll continue to make more of these videos alongside my regular content. Also, if you have any thoughts regarding Sekiro or maybe another game that taught you something, let me know in the comments, as I'd love to see what you all think. If you enjoyed, consider liking and subscribing to stick around and see more of my content, as I have a lot planned. With that, thank you all for watching, and until next time.